The stars looked different through the viewing screen of the luminous dawn. Captain Velthar of the Kryn Collective had been exploring space for 40 years, but today felt unusual. His ship moved quietly through the darkness near a yellow star system that the galactic maps called Sol. The mission was simple. Scout the outer regions of the galaxy, check for new civilizations, and report back to the Galactic Council. The Council had maintained peace across 17 star systems for thousands of years. They knew about most species in this part of space. But this area was different. The sensors showed strange readings. Velthar looked at his navigation officer. The young officer's face showed concern. The energy readings coming from the third planet were massive, too massive for a developing world. "Captain, I think we should see this," the officer said quietly. Velthar nodded. He pressed a button on his chair. The ship's engines powered down from faster-than-light travel. Space twisted around them as they returned to normal speed. What they saw next made everyone on the bridge freeze. Floating in the black void ahead was a ship. But calling it a ship felt wrong. It was a floating city made of metal and power. The vessel stretched 12 kilometers from front to back. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, with lights running along its surface like veins of fire. Weapon systems covered every part of the ship. The luminous dawn was a large exploration vessel, but next to this thing it looked like a small toy. "What is that?" someone whispered. Velthar had no answer. In his 4 decades of service he had seen many ships. Council dreadnoughts, cargo haulers, even ancient war machines from the old conflicts. Nothing compared to this. The power readings alone were impossible. The ship's reactor generated energy equal to a small star. "Scan it," Velthar ordered. "I want to know everything." The science officer worked quickly. Data filled the screens. Hull thickness, weapon counts, shield strength, reactor output. Each number was bigger than the last. The ship could destroy planets or defend against entire fleets. Its technology was advanced beyond anything the Council possessed. "Captain," the communications officer said. "They're hailing us." Velthar straightened in his chair. "Put it through." The viewing screen changed. A human face appeared. The being had dark hair and calm eyes. He wore a military uniform with symbols of rank on the shoulders. Behind him, the bridge of the massive ship stretched into the distance. Other humans worked at stations, their movements efficient and practiced. "I am Admiral Taehyun Kim of the United Nations spaceship Invictus," the human said. His voice was steady and clear. "You have entered human space. Please state your intentions." Velthar felt his throat go dry. Human space, humans. The galactic database showed humans as a primitive species still confined to their home planet. They had only achieved basic spaceflight 50 years ago. How could they build something like this? "I am Captain Velthar of the Kryn Collective, representing the Galactic Council," he replied. "We did not know this system was claimed." "We are on a peaceful exploration mission." Admiral Taehyun nodded slowly. "The Galactic Council. We have monitored your transmissions for some time. We know of your organization." That statement sent a chill through Velthar. Humans had been watching them. How long? How much did they know? Another human appeared on the screen, standing beside the Admiral. This one was female, younger, with sharp eyes. She wore a different uniform with symbols showing technical expertise. "I am Dr. Yoonji Nam, Chief Science Officer," she said. "Captain Velthar, your language uses base 12 mathematics and harmonic frequency patterns. I have studied your transmission protocols. May I act as translator to ensure clear communication?" Velthar was stunned. This human had learned his language just from monitoring transmissions. That level of analysis required years of study and advanced computers. She did it in the time it took his ship to arrive. "That would be acceptable," Velthar said. Admiral Taehyun looked directly at the screen. "Captain, I understand your surprise. Humanity has been preparing for this moment for decades. When we achieved spaceflight, we looked out at the galaxy and saw many civilizations, some peaceful, some not. We decided to be ready for either situation." "Ready?" Velthar repeated. "Admiral, your ship is 3 times larger than our biggest dreadnought. Your weapon systems are beyond our technology. How did you advance so quickly?" The Admiral's expression remained calm. "Humanity has always been driven by challenge. We compete, we innovate, we push boundaries. What took other species millennia, we accomplished in decades because our survival depended on it. We built the Invictus and her sister ships to ensure no one could threaten Earth or our colonies." "Sister ships?" There were more of these monsters. A young human officer appeared behind the Admiral. He handed over a data tablet and spoke quietly. Sir, sensors show their weapons are offline. No hostile intent detected. Admiral Taehyun nodded. Thank you, Lieutenant Hwansu. He turned back to Velthar. Captain, we mean you no harm. But we must ask that you report honestly to your council. Tell them that humanity exists. Tell them we seek peaceful relations. But also tell them that we are prepared to defend ourselves and our interests. Velthar understood the message. It was a warning wrapped in diplomatic language. Humanity was offering peace, but the massive warship behind the offer made it clear that aggression would be met with overwhelming force. I will report everything I have seen, Velthar said. May I ask, Admiral, what do you want from the galaxy? Admiral Taehyun smiled slightly. The same thing any civilization wants. Security for our people, freedom to grow and explore, fair treatment from our neighbors. We don't seek to conquer or dominate, but we will not be conquered or dominated either. The transmission ended. The viewing screen returned to showing the Invictus in all its terrifying glory. Velthar sat back in his chair, his mind racing. The galaxy was about to change. For thousands of years, the Council had maintained order because they had the strongest military. They wrote the rules because they had the power. Now there was a new power, a species that went from primitive spaceflight to building super warships in just 50 years. A species that prepared for war while speaking of peace. A species that seemed to understand galactic politics better than civilizations that had been in space for millennia. Set course for Council space, Velthar ordered. Maximum speed. They need to know about this immediately. As the luminous dawn turned away and prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Velthar took one last look at the human warship. It hung in space like a sleeping giant, powerful beyond measure, waiting patiently. The council chambers had never been this loud. High Counselor Zephrix stood at the center of the circular room, watching as representatives from dozens of species shouted at each other. Some were angry, some were afraid. All of them were confused. Captain Velthar's report had arrived 3 days ago. Since then, the council had done nothing but argue. The holographic display in the center of the room showed the image over and over. The massive human warship called Invictus, 12 kilometers of weapons and armor, technology that surpassed everything the council had built in 10,000 years. Zephrix was old, even by his species' standards. He had served the council for 3 centuries. He had seen wars, peace treaties, the rise and fall of civilizations. But this was different. This challenged everything they thought they knew about how species developed. Order, Zephrix called out. His voice echoed through the chamber. Slowly, the representatives quieted down. We cannot solve this problem by shouting. We need information. A tall figure stood up. It was Ambassador Rethus from the Thraxian Empire. His species believed in strength above all else. Information? We need action. These humans are a threat. One ship is larger than our entire battle fleet. They must be contained before they become a danger. Another voice spoke up. This one belonged to Counselor Mira of the Viridian Consortium. Her people valued peace and knowledge. Contained? Ambassador Rethus, did you read the report? The humans showed no aggression. They offered peaceful contact. Perhaps we should respond in kind. They built a weapon capable of destroying worlds, Rethus shot back. That is not the action of a peaceful species. They built protection, Mira countered. There is a difference. Zephrix raised his hand for silence. We have received a communication from the humans. They wish to send an ambassador. The room erupted again. Half the council wanted to refuse. The other half wanted to accept. Zephrix waited for the noise to die down before continuing. The ambassador is already here, he said quietly. She arrived this morning and has been waiting patiently outside. I propose we hear what she has to say. Before anyone could object, Zephrix signaled the door. It opened and a human woman walked in. She was shorter than most species in the room, but she moved with confidence. Her dark hair was pulled back and she wore a formal suit that looked simple but elegant. She stopped in the center of the chamber and bowed slightly to the council. Honored council, she said. Her voice was clear and carried easily through the large room. I am Ambassador Dayun Lee, representing Earth and all human colonies. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Zephrix nodded. Ambassador Lee, your species has created quite a stir. Perhaps you can help us understand. How did humanity build such advanced warships in only 50 years? Dayun smiled slightly. High Counselor, humanity did not build the Invictus in 50 years. We have been preparing for this moment for much longer. When we first achieved spaceflight, we studied the galaxy. We saw your civilizations, your technologies, your histories. We learned that the universe was not empty. That lesson shaped our development. You studied us? Rethus demanded. How? Your transmissions travel through space, Daun replied calmly. Radio waves, subspace signals, quantum communications. We listened and learned. We saw species with great power and others with none. We saw wars and peace treaties. We saw that in galactic politics, strength matters. She pressed a button on a small device. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth, its colonies on Mars and several moons, and 5 massive ships in orbit. 5 Titan-class warships. The council members gasped. The Invictus is not alone, Daun continued. She has 4 sisters. The Valor, the Liberty, the Defiant, and the Guardian. 3 more are under construction. Humanity built these vessels not for conquest but for security. We will not be the weak species that others can push around. This is an arms buildup, someone shouted. A threat to galactic peace. Daun turned to face the speaker. Is it? Your species have had weapons for thousands of years. You maintain fleets and armies. Why is it acceptable for you but not for us? Because we are new? Because we advanced quickly? We developed slowly, Counselor Mira said gently. We learned wisdom along with power. How can we trust that humanity has done the same? You cannot, Daun admitted. Not yet. Trust must be earned. But consider this. Humanity has the power to threaten you, yet we sent 1 ambassador alone to your council. We could have demanded entry. We could have used force. Instead, we asked politely and waited for your answer. Does that not suggest our intentions? Zephrix studied the human carefully. She was young by his standards, probably not even 50 years old. Yet she spoke with the skill of a seasoned diplomat. He wondered how many others like her humanity had. Ambassador Lee, he said slowly, what does humanity want from the galaxy? Dayan looked directly at him. The same thing any species wants, High Counselor. Recognition, respect, the right to exist without fear. We want to trade with peaceful species. We want to share knowledge. We want to be part of the galactic community. But we will not be bullied or threatened. The Titan-class warships ensure that no one can force their will upon us. She changed the hologram. Now it showed specifications of the Invictus. Power output, weapon systems, defensive capabilities. The numbers were staggering. Even Rethus, the warlike Thraxian, looked impressed. Our reactor technology alone represents a breakthrough, Da-Yun explained. We generate power using controlled quantum reactions. Our shields can withstand impacts that would destroy conventional vessels. Our weapons can target multiple enemies simultaneously with precision. We developed all of this because we had to. Had to? Mira asked. What do you mean? Da-Yun's expression became serious. Humanity's history is filled with conflict. We fought wars for thousands of years. Nation against nation, ideology against ideology. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. But each conflict taught us something. It forced us to innovate, to improve, to survive. When we reached for the stars, we carried those lessons with us. She paused, letting her words sink in. Other species developed slowly because they had time. They faced few threats. They could afford patience. Humanity never had that luxury. We competed constantly. That competition drove us to excel. By the time we achieved spaceflight, we already had nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, and genetic engineering. We simply applied that knowledge to space travel. Zephrix understood now. Humanity was like a child who grew up in a dangerous neighborhood. They learned to be tough early. While other species enjoyed peaceful development, humans fought and struggled and became strong because they had no choice. What you are saying, Zephrix said carefully, is that your entire species was forged in conflict. That war and competition made you strong. Yes, Daun said, but also that we learned from it. We eventually united. All of humanity came together under one government, because we realized that fighting each other was pointless. We could accomplish more together. Now we offer that same unity to the galaxy. Work with us and you gain a powerful ally. Work against us, and you face a species that has been preparing for conflict since before we left our homeworld. The room was silent. Every representative was thinking about the implications. Humanity offered friendship and cooperation, but behind that offer stood 8 Titan-class warships with 3 more being built. The message was clear. Accept us as equals or face us as enemies. The Council will need time to discuss this, Zephrix finally said. Ambassador Lee, would you be willing to answer more questions in the coming days? Da-Yun bowed again. Of course, High Counselor. I am here for as long as needed. Humanity is patient. We have waited 50 years for this moment. We can wait a little longer. She left the chamber, leaving behind a council full of worried representatives and one very thoughtful High Counselor. The galaxy was changing, and everyone in that room knew it. Humanity had arrived, and they could not be ignored. Warlord Krithax was not a patient being. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Blood Talon, and stared at the tactical display with growing anger. 20 warships under his command, the pride of the Thraxian Empire, and they were being told to wait. The High Council had been debating the human situation for weeks. Krithax believed in action, not debate. The humans had insulted the galaxy by building weapons that dwarfed everyone else's. They needed to be taught their place. Now was the time to act before they became even stronger. Set course for the Sol system, Krithax ordered. Maximum speed. His tactical officer hesitated. Warlord, the Council has not authorized military action. Krithax turned his massive head to glare at the officer. I am not attacking. I am conducting a reconnaissance mission. If the humans happen to feel intimidated by our presence, that is not my concern. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. Behind them, urgent messages from the Council demanded they return. Krithax ignored them all. By the time anyone could stop him, he would already be at Earth. He would show these humans what real military power looked like. 3 days later, the Thraxian fleet emerged near Earth's orbit. Krithax smiled as his sensors picked up the human defenses. Space station's orbital platforms, fighter wings. Impressive for a young species, but nothing his fleet couldn't handle. Then his smile faded. 2 Titan-class warships waited in formation. The Invictus and the Valor. They hung in space like dark gods, their weapons already tracking his fleet. Behind them, Earth glowed blue and green, peaceful and protected. On board the Invictus, Admiral Taehyun watched the Thraxian fleet with calm eyes. His crew worked efficiently around him, checking systems and preparing for any possibility. Lieutenant Hwansu was at the tactical station, feeding him constant updates. 20 Thraxian warships, sir, Hwansu reported. They're forming an attack pattern. No surprise there, said Commander Bora from the weapons station. The Thraxians aren't known for subtlety. Open a channel to the Valor, Taehyun ordered. The screen split to show Captain Hanul Song, commander of the 2nd Titan-class ship. She was younger than Taehyun, with short hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. I see them, Hanul said before Taehyun could speak. Thraxians, should we power up weapons? Not yet, Taehyun replied. Let's see what they want first. But be ready. A communication request came through from the lead Thraxian ship. Taehyun accepted it. A large muscular alien appeared on the screen. Its skin was dark red, and its eyes burned with arrogance. I am Warlord Krithax of the Thraxian Empire, the alien announced. Your species has violated galactic protocol by building weapons of such magnitude without Council approval. You will power down your vessels and submit to inspection. Failure to comply will be considered an act of war. Taehyun's expression didn't change. He let the silence stretch for a moment before responding. Warlord Krithax, you have entered human space without permission or invitation. Your fleet poses a clear threat to Earth and its colonies. I suggest you reconsider your position, Krithax laughed. It was a harsh, unpleasant sound. Reconsider? Human, I command 20 warships. You have 2. The mathematics are clear. Mathematics can be deceiving, Taehyun replied calmly. Lieutenant Hwansu, please show the Warlord the asteroid field at grid reference 77 Alpha. The tactical display switched to show a dense field of asteroids, thousands of rocks floating in space near the outer system. Krithax frowned, confused by the change of subject. Commander Bora, Taehyun said quietly. Target that field. Single array demonstration mode. Bora smiled slightly as she worked her controls. Ready, sir. Fire. A section of the Invictus's hull opened. A single weapon array emerged, glowing with barely contained energy. Then it fired. The beam wasn't a solid lance of light, but a spreading web of hundreds of individual threads. Each thread locked onto a separate asteroid. The entire field lit up as rocks were struck simultaneously. For 3 seconds, space blazed with destruction. When the light faded, the asteroid field was gone. Completely gone. Where there had been thousands of rocks, now there was only empty space and rapidly dispersing dust. On the Blood Talon, Krithax felt his confidence drain away. His tactical officer was frantically running calculations. Warlord, that was just one weapon. They didn't even use a fraction of their power. If they fired at full capacity against our fleet, he didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone on the bridge understood. 20 Thraxian warships against 2 Titan-class vessels wasn't mathematics. It was suicide. Taehyun's face reappeared on the screen. Warlord Krythax, that demonstration involved one weapon array set to minimal power. The Invictus has 48 such arrays. The Valor has 48 more. Each can operate independently or in concert. Our shields are currently at 20% capacity, and we haven't even activated our electronic warfare systems. He leaned forward slightly. I am going to give you a choice, Warlord. You can turn your fleet around and leave human space peacefully, or you can continue this confrontation and discover exactly how devastating our weapons can be. Choose wisely. You have 3 minutes. On board the Valor, Captain Hanul watched her sensors carefully. Admiral, I'm picking up communications between the Thraxian ships. They're arguing. Let them argue, Taehyun said. Fear is a powerful teacher. Lieutenant Yu Jin, the communications officer, suddenly spoke up. Sir, incoming transmission from Galactic Council space. It's High Counselor Zephrix. Priority channel. Taehyun nodded. Put it through, but keep Krythax on the line too. Let him hear this. Zephrix's ancient face appeared on a second screen. He looked tired and worried. Admiral Taehyun, I apologize for this incident. Warlord Krythax acted without council authorization. We formally demand his immediate withdrawal from your space. Krythax's face showed shock. The council was abandoning him. He had expected their support, their backing. Instead, they were throwing him aside to appease the humans. Warlord Krythax, Zephrix continued, his voice hard. You will withdraw your fleet immediately. You will return to Thraxian space and await council judgment. This is not a request. Krythax sat frozen for a moment. Then slowly his arrogance crumbled. He had thought to intimidate the humans. Instead, he had revealed their power to the entire galaxy. The footage of that demonstration was probably already spreading across subspace networks. We are withdrawing, Krythax said quietly. He couldn't even meet Taehyun's eyes. Blood Talon to fleet, set course for home. Maximum speed. The Thraxian ships turned and jumped away one by one. Within minutes, human space was clear again. Only the 2 Titan-class warships remained, standing guard over their homeworld. Zephrix remained on the screen. Admiral, I must thank you for your restraint. You could have destroyed that fleet? We could have, Taehyun agreed. But killing should always be a last resort. We prefer to be understood rather than feared, High Counselor, though being feared has its uses when dealing with fools like Krythax. Zephrix almost smiled. Indeed. I believe this incident has taught the galaxy an important lesson. Humanity is not to be threatened. And yet we wish to be partners, not enemies, Taehyun said. The Council should remember that too. After the transmission ended, Captain Hanul contacted Taehyun again. Well handled, Admiral. Though I was ready to light them up if necessary, Taehyun allowed himself a small smile. I know you were, Hanul. That's why I wanted you here. But today wasn't about fighting. It was about sending a message. What message? She asked. That humanity keeps its promises. We said we wanted peace, and we proved it by not destroying an enemy fleet. But we also said we could defend ourselves, and we proved that too. Both messages received, loud and clear. The galaxy had indeed received the message. Within hours, every major civilization had seen the footage of what one human weapon could do. The debate was over. Humanity was powerful. Humanity was restrained. And most importantly, humanity was not going away. The delegation from the Galactic Council arrived on Earth 3 weeks after the incident, with the Thraxian fleet. 15 representatives from different species stepped off their transport ship and looked around with curious eyes. They had come to understand the mystery that puzzled everyone. How did humans advance so quickly? Ambassador Daun greeted them at the landing platform. She wore formal diplomatic clothing and smiled warmly. Behind her, Earth's capital city stretched into the distance, a mix of old and new architecture that showed rapid growth. Welcome to Earth, Daun said. We are honored by your visit. Please follow me. We have arranged a series of presentations to help answer your questions. The first stop was the Planetary Defense Command. General Young-il Bey met them there, a tall man with gray hair and a military bearing that commanded respect. He guided them to a conference room where holographic displays showed Earth's defense network. Our defensive strategy is based on 3 principles, General Young-il explained. Detection, deterrence, and defense. We detect threats before they arrive. We deter them with visible strength. If deterrence fails, we defend with overwhelming force. One of the alien representatives, a scientist named Kelrix, raised a tentacle. General, your detection systems are remarkable. Our analysis suggests you can track objects across several light years. How did you develop such technology so quickly? Young-il smiled slightly. We didn't develop it quickly. We built on centuries of groundwork. Humans have been studying the stars since ancient times. When we achieved spaceflight, we already understood physics, mathematics, and engineering. We simply applied existing knowledge in new ways. The delegation was then taken to the Titan-class construction facility. The massive building could be seen from orbit. Inside, 3 Titan-class warships were in various stages of construction. The aliens stared in wonder at the scale of the operation. Professor Ki-tae Lim, chief architect of the Titan-class program, met them on the observation deck. He was an older man with kind eyes and hands that constantly moved as he talked. His passion for his work was obvious. These vessels represent humanity's commitment to survival, Ki-tae explained. Every system, every weapon, every piece of technology was designed with one goal: to ensure that Earth and her colonies cannot be threatened by any force in the galaxy. But the resources required, another delegate said, the energy, the materials, the knowledge. How did you gather all of this? Ki-tae walked to a display showing Earth's industrial capacity. Humanity didn't start building these ships yesterday. We've been preparing for decades. Our industrial base grew as we colonized our solar system, Mars, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, the asteroid belt. Each location provided resources and manufacturing capability. By the time we started the Titan-class program, we had the infrastructure ready. He changed the display to show a timeline. More importantly, we had motivation. When we discovered that the galaxy was full of intelligent life, we faced a choice: either prepare to meet them as equals or risk being conquered or ignored. We chose to be ready. The next presentation came from historian Dong-Woo Han. He met the delegation in a museum dedicated to human history. The exhibit showed Earth's long and often violent past. Wars, revolutions, disasters, and triumphs. To understand modern humanity, you must understand our history, Dong-Woo began. He was younger than most historians, but his knowledge was deep. For most of our existence, humans were divided. We fought over territory, resources, beliefs, and power. These conflicts were terrible, but they also drove innovation. He showed images of ancient weapons, then modern ones. Each generation of conflict produced new technology. Better tools, stronger materials, more efficient energy sources. The same innovation that created weapons also created medicine, transportation, and communication systems. Counselor Mira from the Viridian Consortium looked troubled. So your advancement came from war? Is humanity naturally violent? Dong-Woo considered the question carefully. Not naturally violent, but naturally competitive. Humans are driven to excel, to be better, to achieve more. For most of our history, that drive expressed itself through conflict. But about 200 years ago, something changed. He showed images of Earth's near destruction from nuclear weapons. We came very close to wiping ourselves out. That experience taught us that competition didn't have to mean destruction. We could compete in science, art, exploration, and achievement instead of war. When humanity finally united under one government, we redirected all that competitive energy toward positive goals. Space exploration became our new frontier, Dong-Woo continued. Building bigger ships, traveling farther, discovering more. The same drive that once fueled arms races now fuels our expansion into the galaxy. The Titan-class warships are not weapons of conquest. They are the result of humanity's competitive nature applied to survival. The delegation spent time on the Invictus next. Admiral Tae-hyun personally gave them a tour. They walked through the massive corridors, saw the weapon arrays, visited the engineering sections, and met the crew. The ship was a small city, home to 15,000 people. Commander Bora explained the weapon systems. Each array can target independently or work in coordination with others. We use quantum computing to process targeting data in real time. Our power systems allow us to fire continuously for hours. The demonstration against the Thraxian fleet used less than 5% of our capacity. The aliens looked shocked. 5%? If that tiny fraction of power could destroy an asteroid field, what could the ship do at full capacity? Why build such powerful weapons if you don't intend to use them? Kelrix asked. Tae-hyun looked at the scientist calmly. Because the best weapon is one you never have to fire. If everyone knows we can defend ourselves, no one will attack us. If everyone knows we prefer peace, they will negotiate instead of fight. The Titan-class program ensures our security without requiring violence. Dr. Yoonji joined them in the science section. She showed the aliens humanity's research into xenobiology, alien languages, and cultural studies. We've been preparing for first contact since we knew alien life existed. We studied your languages, your cultures, your histories. We wanted to understand you before we met you. That seems like a lot of effort, Mira said. Understanding is the foundation of peace, Yoonji replied. We cannot negotiate with species we don't understand. We cannot trade with cultures we don't respect. So we learned. We studied. We prepared ourselves to be good neighbors to whoever we met in the galaxy. On the final day of their visit, the delegation met with Ambassador Da-yoon one last time. They gathered in a conference room overlooking Earth's beautiful surface. The planet looked peaceful from space, a world of blue oceans and green continents. Do you understand now? Da-yoon asked them gently. Why humanity advanced so quickly? Kelrick spoke first. I think I do. Your species had most of the scientific knowledge already. You had the industrial capacity. You had the motivation. You simply focused all of it toward one goal. And you had something else, Mira added quietly. You had a history that taught you to be prepared. Other species grew slowly because they felt safe. Humanity never felt safe, so you never stopped improving. Da-yoon nodded. That is exactly right. We don't build weapons because we want war. We build them because our history taught us that unprepared civilizations don't survive. The galaxy may be peaceful now, but we know that peace is maintained by strength. We offer that strength to our friends and allies not as a threat, but as a guarantee. Will you share this technology with the Council? Another delegate asked. Some of it, yes, Da-yoon replied. We are willing to share defensive systems, medical advances, industrial techniques. But the weapons technology of the Titan-class ships will remain ours. Not because we don't trust you, but because some knowledge is dangerous in the wrong hands. We've seen what happens when weapons fall into the hands of those who seek conquest rather than peace. The delegation returned to Council space with a new understanding. They had seen humanity's power, but they had also seen humanity's wisdom. The reports they filed were full of respect rather than fear. Humanity had proven they were not warmongers building weapons for conquest. They were survivors building shields for protection. High Counselor Zephrix read all the reports carefully. Then he made his decision. It was time to formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Council as full members. They had earned it. The ceremony took place on neutral ground, a space station called Unity Hall that floated between star systems. Representatives from every council member species gathered to witness history. Today, humanity would officially join the Galactic Council. Ambassador Da-yoon stood at the center of the Great Hall, wearing formal robes that represented Earth's many cultures. Behind her, visible through the massive windows, the Invictus hung in space. Admiral Tae-hyun had insisted on being present, and his ship served as a backdrop to the proceedings. Its presence sent a clear message. Humanity came in peace, but they came prepared. High Counselor Zephrix stood at the ancient podium, the same place where countless species had been welcomed over the millennia. His voice carried through the hall with dignity and warmth. We gather today to welcome a new member to our council, Zephrix began. Humanity arrives not as subjects seeking permission, but as equals offering partnership. They bring strength, wisdom, and a perspective shaped by their unique history. The Galactic Council is stronger with them among us. Da-yoon stepped forward and placed her hand on the ceremonial stone, a tradition dating back thousands of years. On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I accept membership in the Galactic Council. We pledge to work for peace, to defend the weak, to share our knowledge, and to learn from our fellow species. We bring our strength in service of the greater good. The hall erupted in applause. Well, not exactly applause, since many species had different ways of showing approval. But the meaning was clear. Humanity was welcome. After the ceremony, smaller meetings began. Species that had been hesitant before now lined up to speak with human representatives. The demonstration against the Thraxian fleet had proven humanity's power. The delegation's visit to Earth had proven their wisdom. Now everyone wanted to be humanity's friend. Captain Velthar, the Kryn officer who had first encountered the Invictus, approached Da-yoon with respect. Ambassador, I wanted to apologize for my initial suspicion. When I first saw your warship, I thought humanity was a threat. Daun smiled warmly. Captain, you were doing your duty, and in a way your report helped us. It forced the Council to take us seriously. Without that, we might still be waiting for recognition. Smaller civilizations were especially eager to form alliances. 3 different species approached General Yong-il about defensive pacts. They had seen what human protection could mean. The general listened carefully to each proposal. We are willing to help defend peaceful species, Yong-il told them, but understand our conditions. We protect those who cannot protect themselves, not those who start conflicts. If you seek our alliance, you must commit to peaceful resolution of disputes first. War should always be the last option, never the first. The species agreed immediately. Having humanity as an ally meant safety, and the conditions were reasonable. The Viridian Consortium proposed something different. Counselor Mira met with Dr. Yunji in a quiet garden aboard the station. Our people value knowledge above all else, Mira explained. We would like to propose a scientific exchange. Your researchers could work with ours. We could share discoveries and learn from each other. Yunji's eyes lit up with excitement. That would be wonderful. Humanity has much to learn from species with longer histories, and perhaps we can offer fresh perspectives on old problems. Even the Thraxian Empire, humbled by their defeat, sent representatives. They approached carefully, uncertain of their reception. Warlord Krethax had been replaced by a more diplomatic leader, General Sulthar. He met with Captain Hanul of the Valor. Captain Hanul, Sulthar began stiffly. My people made a mistake. Krethax acted foolishly. We did not understand humanity's true nature. We hope that in time we might earn your respect. Hanul studied the Thraxian carefully. General, respect is not given, it is earned. But I see that you understand this. Perhaps we can begin joint military exercises. Your species values strength, so do we. Let us learn from each other rather than fight each other. Sulthar looked surprised, then grateful. He had expected rejection. Instead, humanity offered partnership. It was a lesson in diplomacy that his people needed. 6 months after joining the Council, humanity completed 3 more Titan-class warships. The Liberty took position near the growing colonies in the outer systems. The Defiant was assigned to protect trade routes. The Guardian stayed in Earth orbit with the Invictus and Valor. Each ship represented not just military power, but a commitment to protecting the peace. Admiral Tae-hyun was promoted to Fleet Admiral, overseeing all Titan-class vessels. He trained new commanders, sharing his philosophy of strength combined with restraint. Lieutenant Huan Su received his own command, a new class of destroyer designed to work with the Titans. The ship was fast, powerful, and crewed by the best officers humanity had. Commander Bora continued to improve the weapon systems. Her team made breakthroughs in energy efficiency and targeting accuracy, but she also worked with alien scientists, sharing non-weapons technology that could help improve life across the galaxy. Medical systems, power generation, water purification, knowledge that helped people rather than hurt them. The galaxy began to change. Other species, inspired by humanity's rapid advancement, invested more in research and development. The pace of technological progress increased across all civilizations. It was a renaissance of innovation, and humanity had sparked it. But more importantly, the balance of power shifted. For thousands of years, the galaxy had been divided between strong species and weak ones. The strong made rules. The weak followed them. Now there was a new equation. A strong species that defended the weak. A powerful military that served peace rather than conquest. Other civilizations started following humanity's example. High Counselor Zephrix met with Ambassador Da-Yun on the anniversary of humanity's joining. They stood in the same garden where the ceremony had taken place, watching ships from dozens of species dock at Unity Hall. You have changed us, Zephrix said quietly. In just 1 year, humanity has altered how the galaxy thinks about power and responsibility. Daun smiled. We only showed what was possible. The galaxy was ready for change. It just needed an example. Still, Zephrix continued, I wonder what the galaxy will look like in another 100 years, with humanity pushing everyone to be better, stronger, wiser. Hopefully peaceful, Daun replied. That is our goal. To make the galaxy safe enough that one day the Titan-class ships won't be necessary. They will become monuments to what we overcame rather than tools we still need. Aboard the Invictus, Admiral Tae-hyun stood on his bridge and looked at the fleet assembled around the station. Human ships, alien ships, all working together. Joint patrols had become common. Trade flowed freely between systems. Pirates and raiders found themselves facing united resistance instead of isolated victims. Lieutenant Yu Jin brought him the latest reports. Sir, all sectors are quiet. No threats detected. The joint exercises with the Viridian fleet went perfectly, and the Thraxians have requested to participate in next month's war games. Tae-hyun nodded with satisfaction. Good, very good. Compile a message for the fleet. I want to thank everyone for their hard work. Later, he recorded a message that was broadcast across all human military channels and shared with Allied forces. His words were simple but powerful. 1 year ago, the galaxy didn't know we existed. Today, we stand as full members of the Galactic Council. We achieved this not through conquest or threat, but through demonstration of our principles. We showed that power and peace can coexist. That strength can serve justice. That military might can protect rather than oppress. He paused, looking at the camera with steady eyes. The Titan-class warships were built because humanity learned hard lessons throughout our history. We learned that unprepared civilizations become victims, that weakness invites aggression, that peaceful intentions mean nothing without the strength to back them up. But we also learned that strength without wisdom leads to destruction. So we built these magnificent ships not as weapons of war, but as guardians of peace, and that is what they will remain. Every person serving in the human fleet should remember this. We are not conquerors. We are protectors. Our strength exists to ensure that smaller civilizations can live without fear, that peaceful species can thrive without threat, that the galaxy can grow without constant conflict. Humanity has taken its place among the stars. Let us make sure that place is one of honor, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to peace. Thank you all for your service. The message spread across the galaxy. Within days, it had been translated into hundreds of languages. Young beings of dozens of species heard it and felt inspired. The idea that strength could serve peace rather than threaten it resonated deeply. Years later, historians would point to this moment as a turning point. The galaxy had entered a new age. The Age of Guardians, they called it. An era where military power was measured not by how many you could destroy, but by how many you could protect. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy with thunder and lightning, with massive warships that left other species speechless. But in the end, it wasn't the weapons that changed everything. It was the philosophy behind them. Power in service of peace, strength in defense of the weak. Military might as a tool for protection rather than conquest.